To excuse a little bit of shaky cam work today, I'm just sitting on my porch right now because it's kind of nice out, and I got just one of those weird little ideas in my head and felt like talking about it. So the other day I was watching someone's YouTube video on parasocial relationships, and I think that for the most part, most people on the internet, if not almost everybody, is aware of what that is. In short, it's basically when you, the viewer, consistently keep up with a creator, on social media. Maybe you have them added on all social media. You watch their videos every single week, if not almost every day in some cases. And that ends up kind of giving you this notion that you know who that creator is as a person, because you're seeing them so often. Like, surely this must be a good chunk of who they are, and that sometimes seeing that person fairly consecutively can lead people to feel like they are friends with that person, or that person, is their internet friend and stuff, when in fact that person knows absolutely nothing about you. And chances are that even if they post every day, they're probably only showing you like 5 to 10% of their personality at best. You definitely aren't seeing the full picture. You're not seeing all the struggles they go through. You're not seeing all the really exciting, happy moments. You're not seeing just the daily stressors, like, their car not starting this morning when they needed something for a video. We just aren't seeing that stuff. And listening to this person talking about this subject in a video kind of led me to thinking about something that I've seen some smaller channels talk about, but I rarely see like the really, really big channels discussing. And I think that part of the reason bigger channels don't discuss this, even if they're more like, drama YouTubers or news YouTubers, whatever you want to call them, is because once you reach a certain size, there's kind of that don't bite the hand that feeds you mentality that comes shining through. And while it's good to appreciate your fan base and it's good to understand like where you come from, that you wouldn't have any of the privileges that come with being a larger content creator without your fan base, parasocial relationships can be kind of detrimental in a variety of ways. There's the obvious, which is the stuff I'm sure you guys have seen in other people's videos already, like people getting kind of creepy and stuff, whether it's online or personally, where they feel like they're owed something because this creator is their friend in their head, even though the creator has no clue who they are. That's not really what I want to discuss today, though. I'm looking more at what people now have deemed accountability culture. Accountability culture, I think, can be good in certain ways. I think it's a little less toxic than cancel culture because people are less interested in just completely tearing down a creator and hoping that they never have anything again, which is like, I've always found that to be kind of not the best way of dealing with a person who is partaking in negative activities or saying negative things, because say cancel culture actually works and you fully get rid of this person, they lose all their brand sponsorships, they lose their monetization, they lose most of their fans, they're essentially on their own now. What is that teaching that person besides the fact that they've lost everything in an instant, even though it probably took them time to get it? How did just ripping everything away force them to confront what it is they did wrong that hurt people? That's where the problem can kind of lie. And it's like, okay, and also in certain circumstances, unless they were like a truly vile person breaking laws or like being really hateful towards certain groups and stuff, but if it's just somebody who is like ignorant, for example, which I have seen cancel culture called on people who are simply ignorant to something, if that's the case, then how can they learn if all we do is take? This is why I like accountability culture. Accountability culture doesn't just call for someone to go away forever. Instead, it calls for them to listen to the group or the person or people that they hurt, to show that they understand why what they did caused hurt and to make amends, and then they can continue on with their career as per usual. I think that's very beneficial. But even accountability culture has its weak points. And anyone who watched Lindsay Ellis's like hour and 40-minute long, I guess, accountability video probably got a good sense of this. What I enjoyed about her video in relation to the other apology videos or accountability videos that I've seen in the past is the fact that because she did not confine herself to only a few minutes, she gave herself all the time that she needed to make all of her points. We were able to see everything she was taking accountability for from both sides. It wasn't, an hour and a half long crying apology or anything where you couldn't even figure out what she was talking about because she was too distressed. It wasn't this movie-length video where all she did was make excuses. Rather, she started by discussing the things she's done in her past, or the words she's used, or things she's said on social media in her past that she now realizes were ignorant, that she has learned from and now consciously makes an effort to do better from. She admitted what those are. She said exactly what those things were, apologized for them, explained exactly why and how she knows better now, and that she has no interest in ever partaking in that activity or those words again. And I thought that was great to start the video that way, because she's coming right out the gate admitting that, some of the stuff she did was wrong. But then the latter quarter to half of the video was her saying, now that that's out of the way, here's this list of things that people recently wanted to completely cancel me over. They want me to go away forever. They're calling me like really horrid names, honestly, a lot of disgusting misogynistic names. And she was brave enough to say, and here is why these people are wrong about me. This is the layer of this story that these people could not see, because I live through a computer screen to them. They do not know me personally. They have not seen what my daily life is like. They don't know what struggles I was going through at the time. They took one joke or one thing that I tweeted when I was in the moment and I was having a hard time, and they decided to just run with that as this perfect example of who I was as a human being, and they were wrong. And I loved that, because she's absolutely right. And this is something that I always try to understand whenever any creator gets into trouble, comes under fire for something and has to make a video apologizing or taking accountability. I tend to get dunked on a lot by people because they're like, oh, well, the second that people cancel somebody, you should just automatically hate them. And I'm like, no, I try to go back through as much content of that person's as I possibly can. I try to look at all of their social media from that time period, any DMs that may have leaked or something, to see if they were going through something, because humans are flawed individuals. When we are in pain, we tend to lash out in a variety of ways. Some people make really dark jokes. I am one of those people. The only way sometimes I can get through the pain I go through every day from my chronic illness is by making gallows humor jokes. And I still have people just gasp in horror when I do it. I'm like, hey, if that's what it takes for me to get through this. Some people just have to lash out in general. They find something on the news. They talk about that one thing that their roommate did or said today that they probably shouldn't have done just because it was ill-timed, and they just vent about it. They call someone and yell into the phone. We have so many ways that we deal with our frustration and with our hurt, and none of us can really say, within reason, so long as it's not actively trying to bring harm to another or doing something illegal, none of us really should be able to say like, oh, well, your way of dealing with this hurt is wrong, because that's not what I would do, because you haven't lived their exact experiences. I've preached this kind of for a long time, that you could have a twin sister. You could be born same day, go through the exact same life experiences where you're raised the same way, you're always together, so you go through basically the same things And still, you're gonna have a different outlook on life after your experiences, because even though you're always together, you're still two very different people with two different worldviews. So even though you went through the same thing, you're not going to collect those thoughts and deal with them in the same way as each other. And I just think that with these parasocial relationships, there's, yes, the kind of stalky, weird, like you're my best friend side of it, but there's also the side of it where you're like, I've decided that this random person who's never met me and that I'm probably never going to meet is my mortal enemy and I must bring them down. And that before we do that, we really should start normalizing this idea of actually doing some research first on this person. We should actually endeavor to take the time to look back at not just their past, but their recent present. Have they actually grown? Or are they just speaking on anger? Or is this a pattern? You know, I think that there's nothing wrong with normalizing seeing people as human beings. But again, within reason. Yeah, that's just my random little Porsche thought of today. I hope everyone is doing relatively well and staying safe. And as always, do something that makes you happy today, no matter what anyone thinks about it. And I'll see you again soon.